Hi, my name is McKena Miyashiro. I work as a senior diversity consultant in PGE's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion team. I develop and execute DEI programs to ensure that all customers are able to equally participate in and benefit from our transition to a clean energy future.
Hello, my name is Cristian Salgado. I'm the Community Relations Manager for the Smart Grid Testbed Project in Hillsborough. And part of my role is to really engage the environmental justice community in our smart grid testbeds to try to see if there's any disparities in participation and the outcomes that come from those programs. The overall goal is to really bring everybody along. So in the smart grid testbed, we're testing out different products and programs that encourage energy shifting. And part of my role in that is engaging the community to really understand what programs are working, what products are working, and what's not working, and really identify gaps and disparities, and then try to figure out, ways to overcome those barriers so that we can increase energy shifting amongst our customers. And so that helps us save on building new generation that could be carbon emitting. So the smart grid testbed, it gives us the ability to test different products and marketing in the effort to really change the dynamics of the relationship between the customer and the utility. Traditionally, it's been a one-way kind of relationship where the energy provider provides the energy, and as a customer, we consume it. But that traditional way of kind of doing business is not going to really help us in achieving our imperatives to really introduce more renewables into the grid. In order for that to happen, we need to find predictability in the grid, and so that would require participation from the customer side, because a lot of the stuff we're doing is focused on energy shifting, and so changing our habits so that we avoid having to build new generation, which could drive up costs for our customers. So in essence, the smart grid testbed is a way to figure out how are we going to motivate people to participate in these energy shifting programs, and what is kind of the disparity in the program, and if those disparities present any barriers that we need to address. And so we're looking at it as a whole, but my job specifically is to really focus on the environmental justice communities, because traditionally those are the communities that have been left behind anytime we talk about modernizing any sort of system. And especially with the climate emergency, climate change initiatives, those are the communities that are impacted the most, and that's why the focus is on the needs of those communities specifically.
Centering community voices is imperative to how I gather, collect, and analyze information at my role at PGE in support of building stronger communities. For instance, to develop our equity strategy paper, we relied heavily on primary research, leveraging best practices and our learnings from community stakeholders to develop our vision for an equitable energy future. We also shared iterations of our white paper with community-based organizations, nonprofits, environmental justice communities, to inform that work. And for my internal work, focused on increasing the representation of Black, Indigenous, and people of color, I analyzed internal workforce representation data to identify gaps and opportunities for diversifying PG's workforce.
One of the ways I support engineering and designing is by building relationships in the community to really build that trust and create a feedback loop that we hope informs our design of our products and our programs. That's important because we want our customers to really buy in and really see the community benefits. We really want to hear from them what they want to see out of our programs and products.
I grew up in Honolulu, Hawaii, and attended the University of Portland as a first-generation college student obtaining a business degree in economics. After school, I shortly began my professional career at PGE as a regulatory analyst in PGE's Rates and Regulatory Affairs Department. During my time in rates, I had the opportunity to co-project manage PGE's engagement in the Senate Bill 978 proceeding, and during this process, I really found my passion for the intersection of social equity and energy policy. And with these drivers in mind, I had the opportunity to join PGE's new Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion team to advance racial equity both internally and externally at PGE.
My background is working in nonprofits, so I have over 10 years of nonprofit experience, working in direct service all the way to leadership level. I worked in social services, racial equity, immigrant and workers' rights. So there's just a really, I've worked with the youth in the juvenile justice system to try to really reduce the disproportionate impact minority youth have with the juvenile justice system. That's one of the works that I really like. I'm proud of in my life. So I decided to have a career change just because the nonprofit world wasn't really offering the opportunities that I was looking for. So I decided to join an MBA program, which I'm almost done with, one more term. And I've always had a high interest in sustainable future. I think that's really important. I think climate change is a huge threat to us, and so I think it's important to really focus on creating a sustainable future. And coming from a low income background, an environmental justice community, I think I just have a lot of connection to the work because of the impact it has on those communities. And so, I thought that coming to PGE in this role was a great transition away from the nonprofit world, because I still get to engage the community and work on something that's really important. As an energy provider, I see it as a essential service. So it's really important work that we're doing. And so that's kind of how I got here. As a student, I was always thinking about like what kind of jobs would be exciting, right? So I never thought about working in energy or working in the energy industry or for an energy company because it just didn't sound exciting to me. So as an adult, I would say to my student self, like, hey, think about the energy sector as a potential future. You have the potential to change the future because it's a really integral part of our society. It's an essential service that we're providing. We provide a public benefit, and there's an intersection to many different types of work. So you can study, business and have a job. You can be an electrical engineer. You could be a community organizer. There's just a role for everybody in here, and so I think that's what I would tell myself. And then I would also tell myself, don't think electrical engineering is boring, because it isn't.
So, what inspires me about the next generation is really their desire for change and their willingness to not just put up with the status quo. Young people expect companies to be good corporate citizens. Young people expect equity. For example, younger people are more comfortable with things like using gender pronouns. And so young people are, in my perspective, just really not willing to, again, put up with the status quo and are really looking for change. And that's what really inspires me about the next generation.
I'm really inspired by the energy that the next generation brings to social justice causes. And, they're really focused and empathetic to the needs and the feelings of other people. And when it comes to really standing up, they show up in force with a lot of energy. And that really inspires me. And it really fuels me to really keep going and doing my work, because I know that there's people behind me that are really looking up to, what's being laid out in front of them and how to do things differently.